The home has a 36-year-old roof. Will the sellers replace it? I'll answer that question and more on this episode of your Home Buyer Guide podcast. Currently buying a home, and the inspection came back and pointed out that the roof has never been replaced in about 36 years. My realtors are essentially telling me that the sellers probably will not replace it because it's not actively leaking, even though my inspector pointed out that the interior roofing exposed in the attic had signs of water leaking and that the roof is well past its useful lifespan. If I buy the house like this, I will not have enough money left over to get the roof replacement immediately, so further damage will occur. Can I negotiate the roof to be replaced by the seller? Yes, you can absolutely negotiate that the roof be replaced by the seller. And I think you should, or some sort of conversation should happen. If they replace it or not, well, that's a different story. You didn't mention what kind of roof it is, but 36 years is a pretty long time for a roof. Your typical shingle roof lasts about 15 to 30 years, depending on the kind of shingles. There are a few different angles you can take here. Because of the age of the roof, it could be difficult to get insurance on the property. I'm in Florida, so roofs and insurance is a big talking point here. It may not be as big of a deal as other places, and I'm guessing if your realtors didn't mention that, maybe it's not a big deal there. But if the roof is well past its useful lifespan, I would be kind of amazed if you could get the home insured. So that could be a path to explore. I would reach out to a few insurance companies, send them your report, and see if they can tell you if the home would be able to get insured or not. If it can't get insured, that could be your negotiating power. Now, this isn't always a slam dunk because I'm assuming the current owners have insurance, so they might say, well, we have insurance, so you can get insurance on the house. But if they've had the same insurance company for a while and haven't gotten the roof inspected, then that's how they have a roof that's well past its useful lifespan and are still insured. Another thing you could do is adjust your purchase price. If they don't want to replace the roof, maybe they'll reduce the purchase price. Then what you could do is take a loan out for the roof. Now, this may not be the best resolution because you won't know if you can get the loan or how much it is until you've already closed on the house. If you really love the home and think you could swing a loan for the roof, then it's an option, even though it's not an option that I really like. And you didn't mention if you're getting a loan or not, so if you are getting a loan, sometimes if the roof doesn't have any more life on it, that could be an issue for the lender, and they may not let you close on the house if the roof isn't replaced. But first, I would negotiate for the roof to be replaced. I understand your realtor said that the seller may not replace the roof because it's not currently leaking, but it doesn't hurt to ask. Most buyers are going to run into the same issue as you, which is figuring out how to pay for a new roof ASAP. With how much monthly mortgage payments are now, it's going to be difficult for buyers to be able to buy a home and then still have money left over to either pay for the roof outright or get a loan, just like your situation. But you really never know what mindset a seller has and if they're willing to negotiate or not, but I think it always makes sense to always negotiate. Even if they say no, it doesn't hurt to ask. Best of luck with your negotiating. If you have any real estate questions for the podcast you want answered, send me an email. All these questions came from Reddit. We were scheduled to close Tuesday. We got the final approval over 2 weeks ago. Now everyone is silent and keeps promising we'll know something about cash to close every day, and then the day passes. My lender sent a preliminary closing disclosure 10 days ago, but it was essentially to meet legal requirements and not an actual helpful document, as it didn't even include property taxes and other critical line items. Should I expect to be wiring money on Tuesday right before closing, which is scheduled for 9 a.m.? We have the money to cover any reasonable cash to close, but it's just the last minute nature of this all that's become very bothersome. First, congratulations on getting the final approval. It does sound odd that you got the final approval so long ago, but not the cash to close. You should receive the final closing disclosure, or CD, 3 days before closing. This will have the cash to close amount on it. Now, the amount can still fluctuate, but there are regulations on how much it can change. In most normal transactions that I've seen, you know your cash to close at least a day or two before. I encourage my clients to wire the closing money the day before, just to make sure that the wire has plenty of time to clear, and then they can receive their keys as soon as possible once they're closed. But if you don't have the cash to close figures, it's not really helpful. I've had some closings where the closing date was moved up and then there was a mad dash to get all the final closing cost numbers in, but it sounds like this isn't the case in your situation. You can reach out to the closing company to see if the lender has submitted all of their costs. I'm guessing that might be the holdup. I don't know what it is, but it seems like lenders just wait to the absolute latest deadline to get things in. Also, the lender is typically waiting on the underwriter, so it's not really their fault typically. I would just keep bothering your real estate agent, the lender, and the closing company. Usually what I do is I put everyone on a group email or text and ask the status of when we'll be getting the cash to close figures. I've had experiences in the past where the lender is saying they're not getting information from the closing company and vice versa. So when you put everyone on the same email, it's harder for them to pass the buck on to somebody else. Best of luck, and I hope you get your cash to close numbers soon. I'm not buying until next year, but trying to position finances to get ready. I was surprised when a very well-respected real estate agent told me that cash offers don't matter as much as not having any financial contingencies. The realtor said people use the term all cash offer a lot when it often means no financing contingencies. This can mean the buyer isn't concerned about the loan not going through, or they're willing to risk deposit if it doesn't. Does this make sense? We may be able to buy with cash, but prefer to put some of our cash into index funds. Real estate is hyper-local, so what's customary in one market may not be the same in another market. Where I am, this isn't customary, but I think I understand what the real estate agent is saying. It seems like sellers don't want any contingencies, or at least not financing. I'm guessing you're in an area where it's not uncommon to have cash offers, and because of that, that's where this waiving the financing contingency thing is coming into play. Which I don't completely understand, because here's the bottom line. Sellers want the home to close. So when I'm guiding a seller through the purchasing process and they get offers, we try to choose the offer that has the best terms, but also the most likely to close without any issues. To me, the mindset of waiving the financing contingency and if the sale doesn't go through, you just lose your deposit, really doesn't make sense, because you'd think that the seller ultimately wants to sell, so they're going to choose a deal that's the most likely to close. I assume that the thought is the least amount of contingencies will get you closer to a closed sale. When you're ready to start putting offers on home, maybe you could start off with trying to finance, and then if you keep getting rejected, maybe that's when you could consider doing cash offers if you wanted. It also doesn't hurt to ask another local real estate agent their opinion and what they would do. Also know that you're in control here. If you want to just, do financing offers, you can absolutely do that. Now, maybe the agent is just telling you, hey, this is what's customary, because they're just basically trying to get you in a home sooner than later, so you're not frustrated that you're not getting any of your offers accepted. So best of luck, and when you're ready to buy, I hope you're able to buy soon enough and with financing if you want. I'm a first-time home buyer looking at properties with this realtor who seems nice and knowledgeable, but lately he started insisting that I look at listings in which he's the seller's realtor. I don't think he would represent my best interest in this deal. Even in other listings, he's probably wanting me to pay the highest, let alone on his listings. Is this common practice? I understand why you'd be cautious in this situation. I agree with you that your realtor may not represent you and your best interest if he's the listing agent. I'm not sure how your market is, but in some it's really competitive. So I know sometimes listing agents will tell their buyer clients when they have a new listing coming on the market, so then they can schedule to see the home once it's on the market. Maybe that's what your realtor is doing here. It doesn't sound like it. I'm not sure if it's common practice exactly, but it does happen. Regardless, I believe you're in the right wanting to have your own real estate agent representing you and your best interests in this transaction. If you like this realtor, you could stick with them, but let them know for his listings you would like to have your own real estate agent and see how he wants to proceed. Maybe he'll stop pushing his own listings, or maybe refer you to another agent. And of course, you could always have the option to choose another real estate agent if you wanted, assuming you haven't signed any buyer's agreements. For more podcasts, check out this playlist. If you have any real estate questions, my contact information is in the description below. Please email me your questions so I can answer them on the podcast. Thanks for tuning in.